Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Udita Chaturvedi, and I'll be moderating today's session on context, content, and community for community networks. Um, we've been in this conversation for 3 days now, and we've learned so much about community networks. We understand that a little more than half the world is connected, but the other half remains to be connected. And while there is a growing user base of internet service of users connecting to the internet, there are regions and areas that are also neglected by the same ISPs. And this is where community networks can step up. Since we're in day 3 of this conference, we won't deep dive into the infrastructure policy and regulations aspect of community networks here in this session today, but we will touch upon the other aspect of that of users and use. We have with us today three people on the panel: Maureen Hernández from Venezuela, Michael Suantak from Myanmar. I hope I got your name right, and Ramprasad Venkatesha from India.
Yes,
A little
hi.
bit about all of them. Maureen is a systems engineer at the University of Los Angeles and an enthusiast about spectrum sharing and policies that ensure efficient spectrum use. Michael is a civic-minded social entrepreneur, innovator, and the founder of Alternate Solutions for Rural Communities. He's had some great success in building community networks as an alternate communication platform connecting over 20 jungle villages. And we'll hopefully learn more about it in this session today. And we've got Ramprasad, who's a program manager and development pursuer working on ICT initiatives at the BAIF Development Research Foundation.
Yes, thank you. And I also am joined by my colleague, Ms. Pooja, who has also just joined. Yes.
Hi, Pooja. Welcome to the panel. And would you like to give us like a one-line introduction? Would you like to introduce everyone? Pooja, you?
Yes,
Can you just give a, sorry,
yes,
I didn't
Pooja
hear you.
here. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, so what I'd like to discuss
Sorry.
that even as the telecom and internet penetration is growing over the years, there is a sizable population that does not have access to the internet or effective contextual relevance of the internet. And so I want to ask the panelists if they can share an example each of a community network solution where the local community took upon themselves to build, maintain, and operate a network to enable access to localized information or services within the community. Um, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go alphabetically. I'll give each of you 2 minutes each. And just before we go into the answers, just a reminder for the audience, the hashtag for today is CNX APAC 2020. I will also encourage members of the audience to drop in your questions in the chat box, and we'll pick them up later for when we open the house for Q&A from the audience. So yeah, let's start with Maureen then.
Sure, Udita, thank you. And thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure. One of the examples that I like the most about the success of community networks, and specifically in the local context, which should always be the main part, is, for example, Tusheti networks in Georgia, where the community align with the government. This is very important. Sometimes people see community networks like kind of a competition, something that cannot be a complement of commercial existing networks and ISPs. In Georgia's case, if I remember correctly, they made a sort of an association within the local ISP and the government. They got the license together with the Internet Society, and that allows that community to be like a strong organization, and good policy is being developed there around that case, and the local people is helping the touristic areas around them, so people can go there over the times and just help them to maintain the touristic business throughout the year, all year long. That is boosting the local economy, that is boosting the local business, that is allowing people to stay there in the mountains and not having to leave, their region just to look for life outside that place. So that's one of the examples that I like the most, where giving access to a remote place in conjunction with the government and with policymakers can strongly be beneficial for a community, social and economically.
Thank you. That's actually a very good example. And I think there's a lot to learn for different regions, how they can collaborate with the government on this. Usually it's seen, other than the licensing, it's seen always as separated from the government, the idea of community networks. So thank you so much for that. Michael, over to you.
Okay. Yeah. This is Michael from Chin State, Myanmar. I think there may be different kinds of community network models. Some may be offline, some may be online, and some may be like a hybrid one. So the community-owned network should be by the community for the community. No one from outside interfere about that usage and also the censorship and other things. So that access to the information for the community is very much important in this kind of pandemic situation. And then also it's also important to have like a two-way of communication, not only consuming that the contents from the internet, but also to produce and provide the content to the international community. So that also could be one way of the building the social enterprise or uh, uh, income generation for those consumer from the community. Something like uh, sharing that the life, sharing that the unique thing in the community, like a custom, traditionals, and the place and the way of their living. That could be interesting for the international community, and it is also very important other people to know those people exist and survive. Um, so the building the community contents, local content, it's also important for preserving their custom. Something like in our community, we are living in this valley. This is called Sin Valley, and we are something like less than 10,000 population who speak the same language, the same dialects, and then who living here is something like maybe 4,000 people. So it is very important for us to keep our custom and our tradition, our dialects, and our how to say that existing, right? So uh, some way of that local content creation will preserve and promote our identity. So as an indigenous people living here, so that is a very encourage us to create a local content to not only for the entertaining the rest of the world, but also preserving our identity in locally. Yeah.
Thank you so much. In fact, you've touched upon a point that we will come back to about consuming and producing content. This has been super helpful. Ramprasad, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Udita. Our community is based out of a village called Pathardi. It is in a town. It is near a town called Jauhar in Palghar district of Maharashtra in India. So it is a tribal community with Warli tribe. So you might have heard Warli paintings. So it is from this community that Warli paintings come. So they have a lot of art and cultural heritage like Warli paintings, Bohada masks. They wear a lot of masks and they dance during a specific season of the year. And then apart from this, they have very diverse biodiversity knowledge. So they have with the organization I work, BAIF Development Research Foundation, lot of work has been done on agro biodiversity conservation. So local seed banks, local seed conservators, and they conserve various types of wild foods and different types of rice varieties, millets, and so on. So they have various indigenous knowledge, both in terms of cultural and agro biodiversity knowledge. And then we are trying to conserve this through a platform called the knowledge sharing platform, the traditional knowledge sharing platform. Our colleagues, we are all working together on developing this platform. And then apart from that, we are having a human face to our community network through our digital village catalysts. We call them e-dosts. E is electronic, but E can mean different things: empowering, environment. In this case, various things. And so ethos, they actually they act as catalysts who handhold the community for various digital services, knowledge sharing, and so on. So these are the various components which we have worked on. And regarding the technically deploying the network, the offline hotspots, the local access server, deploying the access points, and then the community radio, we have received the support of Grammar from IIT Bombay. In fact, it is with them, with their partnership, that we started this work, and also Servlots and so on. So various organizations have supported us in this regard. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Pooja, would you like to add anything else to what Mr. Ramprasad said?
No, I think he's covered all the points. Yeah.
Thank you. I think to see that relevance, I think it's very important for other people are about how community networks, and Maureen also touched upon the same thing about connecting that to livelihood, which is very crucial to these communities which are yet to get connected and are new to the connected world. Uh, Moving on, there is no denying that the internet is dominated by the English language, not only in terms of content, but also in terms of the devices and the tools when you have to access them. There's a basic functional English understanding sometimes that you require. I know there are examples where you've navigated these challenges really well, but we can't deny that it is dominated by the English language. But essentially, there is more to the internet also than just WhatsApp and Facebook, not discounting that these are powerful, game changing communication tools for communities. And so I feel, but it is still that contextual relevance of the internet for each individual and community that actually makes it the empowering tool. And so, my second question to you, panelists, is that what do we need to do to ensure that the community that joins the internet joins not only as consumers of the content, but also producers? How do we navigate the challenges of functional digital literacy, of the dominance of English language, to actually ensure that uh, they can fully enjoy the benefits that a community network has to offer? Let's go in a reverse order this time. So let's start with Ramprasad this time. I'll give you another 2 minutes each.
Yeah, I think I'll hand it over to my colleague. I think Miss Pooja, she will be able to share more about this, because she's also working on several e-learning content, which is not just in English but in various languages. Yes, Miss Pooja.
Actually, I have not thought much about it, but what can be done is maybe they are facilitated through somebody who is conversant with English or some other language. So this can be facilitated to start with, because making a change in the system or in the language that is available on the mobile as of now, I think that is very difficult. But through a facilitator, yes, it can be possible. They can be given some basic training and explain some terminologies and how it affects. I think that will help to start with.
Okay.
Yes, I would just like to add on to what Ms. Pooja shared, that so in my perspective, I think we cannot forget digital. At the same time, I understand the language related barriers and concerns. So we are trying to match both of these, like bringing agriculture and such knowledge in a digital medium in local language. That is, I think, those kinds of interventions are definitely helping. I think even the knowledge sharing platform which I mentioned, it is not just in English but also in Marathi, which is the local language here. So we are definitely considering that point in mind. But just because it is the local language, it doesn't mean we need not adopt the digital strengthening. So we are getting digitally strengthened, but adapting to the local needs, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very useful. Should we move to Michael now? If you can highlight, like, what do we need to ensure that the community can be both consumers and producers? I know you touched upon it, but what are the prerequisites for that? How do we ensure that?
Yeah, language burden is a challenging for everywhere, and then especially like a country like Myanmar, we have 135 minorities, and those who have their own dialects, and then some majors 8 or 9 language. So especially in Chin State, we have 53 kinds of the tribes, different tribes, and we have our own dialects and using till today. So in terms of the digital age and using a technology, I think that the language or the dialect should not be the problem. There should not be the obligation. Uh, there maybe there will be a way to easily translate or easily convert from one language to another language. So in Myanmar, we still have a problem with the Unicode and non-Unicode things. But in the near future, I think we can have one standard on the Unicode, and then we can move onward for automation, something like translation, and even though that we can use like a voice or speech or something like that. So the content creations, we also have problems. We are expert in local dialects, then we can narrate about the story, the contents. But we need someone to make it translate and uh, able to understand for the rest of the world. So we still need that the some medium, someone who understand both language to make it translate for all over the world. So like a okay, this is like a inside out content, and then outside in the content from internet to download and doing audio adapting to make it easier with the local context to make it understandable for the local people. That also we still need because we don't have yet auto translation and software. So it's still in the middle of transition. But in the future, when we have a proper technology, then I think we can people from the village doesn't need to learn English first to use the technology. So we can skip that. We can use that leapfrogs for the accessing the information and using the technology. Yes. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was talking on mute. No, I think facilitators are very crucial, whether it is to understand technology, whether it is to understand that language, or to just help them see their relevance. And that's a very important element that we should keep in mind when we're establishing networks. Maureen, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a crucial part, Udita. This is a crucial factor. We want to bring the benefits of the outside world, right, to remote villages. We don't want to take people out, right? We don't want to make them just use the great tools you just mentioned, like, yeah, Facebook is a tool, WhatsApp is a tool, but the real and the great benefit, I think, is to preserve culture and to preserve roots, and that's a beautiful thing. That's actually one of the main things where that community networks have as a great at the core and heart of the community networks. It's the capability of maintaining roots, and in that case you can see I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel, sorry. I think I love to see examples like, for example, in Mexico, Rizomatica, they have great content, and they have great even like degrees in Spanish, right? And they have degrees in indigenous languages there in Mexico. Um, in Argentina, Altermundi also has great content in Spanish. I know the Digital Empowerment Foundation has also great content all over there in India. If you go to Freefunk in Germany, I can't read the content because it's in German, but I know it exists and it's there. And I've tried sometimes to translate it automatically with some tools. So there are tools that we can take advantage of, you know, to kind of recycle these efforts around the world to create the digital literacy programs. There are also funds that we sometimes are not aware of. So when you go to the International Telecommunications Union, for example, you see they have programs to help you build these digital literacy programs, because as Michael says, there are some cases where you will need someone from the same place translating the content, because otherwise we don't have that bridge. And we need to make able to finance this program so we can translate the content that already exists in as many languages as we can. And talking about not reinventing the wheel and great tools, there is also an open source software called Learning Equality. They have a portable Raspberry Pi with education content that it's translated in over 150 languages, I believe, and continues to be translated because since it's open source, it takes the advantage of a world community, of a global community. And I have collaborated with them in the past, and they are always very open to continue to translate the content into any community that needs. And that library of content that they own also have like digital literacy programs. So I love the fact that we can have that in mind first when we bring people to the internet and we take care of them, because the internet can be a wonderful thing and a great thing, but can also be a scary and a dangerous place. So it's very important that we take care of the education and the preparation of the people that we bring online. And this is the way to do it.
Mhm.
Thank you. That's very insightful. Since we have a little more time, if I could ask, uh, can we also, like Maureen shared a few examples from Mexico and Argentina? Can we hear from more examples from you guys of communities that have been able to document their local information well, uh, despite the barriers of English language? So essentially content in their own languages, whether they and in different multimedia format that they were able to. But if you can share some examples, maybe Michael and Ramprasad, if you'd like to share a few examples with the audience.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I will start one. Before that, the local contents, I would like to share one thing that when we start the community network, which we it is for, at the beginning it is for communication, but later on when the telecom come and the area covered by the telco, so we go to the offline content service provider. Then we use that the Khan Academy contents and we provide. But the one thing is that we realize that the education system of Myanmar to another country, like especially like the Khan Academy, the level of the educational contents are different. We cannot directly use those available contents in our case, because the education system is different. So now Myanmar education system is trying to change to plus two system, but it's still on the process or something like that. So when we make offline contents or making local contents, it is very important to consider the local context and the system, like the education system, custom, and others thing as well. So regarding that, the content creation in a local dialect, yes, we have um, many local contents in local dialects, but sometimes those are how to say, not fit for the other people's. For example, like joke, like we have a like how to say traditional jokes we have. So, but that joke is not l- funny for the other people because it is depending on the local context. So something like that. So to create a to create a local content or contents, it is very important to consider who are our audience, who are our target audience. That is very important. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think, and there's a point I want to come back to it later also in terms of ensuring how you get to that literacy level and how you do navigate different levels of education and literacy. Ramprasad, would you like to share an example with us, please?
Yes, yes. I have just posted a link on the chat, which is of our knowledge sharing platform which we have just started. As you can see, it is both in Marathi and in English, and there is a wide variety of categories which are created. right from flowering trees, cattle, various cereals, and so on. So, and also maybe going, it has to be populated. The categories and the platform is created. And we have also undertaken some initiatives to collect this data through offline surveys. But yeah, now the platform is there. Now it has to be populated, and then here is where we request collaboration. So because of this online, it can transcend boundaries. It need not just so now it is in English and Marathi. So maybe we can add languages and keep on expanding it. So that's where I think here is where collaboration comes in, and then I think it can go ahead. So this is one of the examples where we are collecting this kinds of data, and this is if this is not captured at this moment, I think later on, after 2-3 generations, this may be lost for their own community. So suppose the Warli community today, the older generation knows a lot of these things, and then after 2-3 generations, they themselves may not know various of these things unless it is captured through these portals. So yeah, this is one such initiative which we are taking in this direction.
Absolutely. I think collaboration is actually the key principle behind the whole concept of community network, with whether it's establishing, maintaining, or producing content. Um, I think we've heard of some of these great examples from all of you and these powerful insights about community networks based content. I think over the years, what I've also personally learned is that just because we're working in the space of digital inclusion or training communities in digital literacy does not really mean that we know what a community wants out of the internet. Our job is essentially to help them connect to the internet in a manner where they can explore the online world and find their own contextual relevance to empower their lives. And so before we open the session for question and answers from the audience, which again, I'll put a little reminder here, please drop in your questions in the chat box because we'll be opening up in another 5-7 minutes for questions from the audience. But right now we'd like to hear some voices from the ground. And if I can ask Shivangi to play the video, please.
Yes, we'll be starting with the videos in 30 seconds.
Thank you.
The indices of Barun district tell a story of their own. 85% of the population of Barun is rural. More than 60% of the women are illiterate. More than 40% of the million-strong population is tribal. These tribal peoples of Barun are largely illiterate. Many of them are nomadic, homeless, bonded laborers. They eke out their living on a day-to-day basis. This does not mean that there are no opportunities for the Saharias and the other tribal people of the Barun district. The major problem is that news of opportunities and openings rarely reach them. Like many other rural and remote areas, information is the biggest casualty. It hardly ever gets through to the people who need it the most. Illiteracy, poverty, lack of identity, subjugation and exploitation have collectively oppressed the Saharias and the other tribals in Barun. Most people outside the area are not even aware of the Saharias' existence as they live in a media dark geography. However, things have begun to change quite dramatically. Vijay Roy, who is in his early 20s, is a Saharia tribal youth who got bitten by the broadband internet bug in 2010. He was working with the local NGO when he heard about the Wireless for Communities project run by the Internet Society and Digital Empowerment Foundation. He joined the training and learned about wireless networking, routers, modems, line of sight, mapping geolocations, planning networks and so on.
कंप्यूटर सीखने के लिए कोई ज़्यादा पढ़ा लिखा होना कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है, कोई मायने नहीं है. आप बस थोड़ा सा पढ़ना लिखना जानते हो तो इसका मतलब आप कंप्यूटर चला सकते हो।
Now, as a lead wireless network engineer, Vijay has helped establish 8 major nodes all across Bharat, some of them as far as 40 kilometers from each other. All the nodal points have facilities like video conferencing, telehealth, video cameras, webcam, projectors, printers, scanners, and availability of more than 45 Mbps of broadband. Now the broadband wireless internet connectivity has already benefited at least 2,000 Sahariya tribals through digital literacy, vocational programs, telehealth programs, and entrepreneurial skill building.
जो नूरी मदरसा संचालित है वो लगभग गुना शहर से 3 किलोमीटर दूर है।
हमारे गांव में कंप्यूटर एक भी नहीं है।
वैसे तो कंप्यूटर का युग चल रहा है सर, हर चीज़ ऑनलाइन हो गई है, तो हम चाहते हैं कि बच्चे भी हर काम ऑनलाइन करें ताकि आगे चल के उनको कोई दिक्कत ना आए।
बच्चे अधिकतर पढ़ाई की ओर जाते नहीं है, मतलब थोड़े जो बड़े हुए उनको काम की ओर लगा दिया जाता है कि जाओ मजदूरी करो और कमा के लाओ।
इन्होंने जो कनेक्शन दिया है हमारे लिए फ्री में, वो बच्चों के लिए इंटरनेट से जोड़ने के लिए दिया है। वहाँ पर पिछड़े वर्ग के और अल्पसंख्यक बच्चे शिक्षा प्राप्त करते हैं और उन बच्चों की हालत को देखते हुए इन्होंने हमारे लिए फ्री इंटरनेट कनेक्शन दिया है, जिससे कोई भी सब्जेक्ट से संबंधित वेबसाइट होती है वो खोलते हैं हम, तो उस सब्जेक्ट से संबंधित ज्ञान उनको प्राप्त होता है। पिछड़े हुए क्षेत्र हैं जो शहर से दूर हैं, मतलब उनके लिए जो है इंटरनेट काफ़ी उपयोगी है।
मैंने आसपास के बच्चों को बताया कि यहाँ पे ये कंप्यूटर आ गया है, यदि तुम्हें सीखना है तो बिल्कुल निःशुल्क सिखाएंगे यहाँ पे और आप लोग आ सकते हो। बच्चे बहुत खुश हो जाते हैं जब वो देखते हैं ना, फिर वो देख रहे हैं ईमेल वगैरह इंसर्ट करना बताया जैसे उन्हें। पहले स्टार्टिंग में तो वो बहुत डर से रहते, मतलब माउस से तक हाथ नहीं लगा पा रहे थे वो, तो मैंने उनसे कहा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, कंप्यूटर खाएगा नहीं तुम्हें, उससे डरो मत ऐसा। तो उनका डर मिटा, उन्हें अच्छा लगता है और बच्चों को आने के लिए वो बोलते हैं कि हमने ये सीख लिया है। ऐसे एक एक दो दो करके बच्चे आ भी रहे हैं।
Nichla Gar is an amazing place on the map of India, located at the base of Mount Abu Hills and National Park. It is only 17 kilometers from Abu Road and about 15 kilometers from the 8-lane National Highway number 14. As soon as one follows the single-lane village road to go to Nichla Gar, road gradually becomes serpentine. It is almost landlocked because it is on the banks of a couple of rivers and they make the village totally disconnected when the river swells and overflows. Nichla Gar consists of many hamlets and is a part of Abu Road Tehsil of Sirohi district in Rajasthan. However, situation in Nichla Gar is gradually transforming with the successful implementation of Wireless for Community project, but it was not easy. Abu Road, from where broadband is sourced, is about 20 kilometers away and eerily 16 kilometers, but with no clear line of sight. So line of sight spots were identified with the help of BAIF engineers. They recommended 3 hopping spots to achieve the line of sight, out of which 2 of the spots were on top of the hills between Abu Road and Nichla Gar. Putting up towers was another challenge. A small portion of the house terrace was taken on rent to put a small antenna that belonged to a tribal family 9.4 kilometers from Abu Road. Then a temple on top of the hill was used to put another small tower to link it to the sourcing spot and to the destination spots. Another natural height before the final point was needed, for which non-working and unused telecom tower was used to link the third spot to the second one, to source the incoming connectivity and to relay to the rooftop of the building where CIRC was set up. As a result, Nichla Gar now is a tribal Wi-Fi village. Every other institution around is asking for internet connection, like police station, schools, shops, ration outlet, and the youth of the village. In fact, the youth who have got mobiles are coming to the center every day to access Wi-Fi. Nichla Gar is a great example of how last mile broadband connectivity can be achieved without fiber optic using wireless technologies and under extremely affordable cost, and also make the connectivity available to the people on a rural ISP model.
Okay, I think I'm back on this. Yeah. I hope you enjoy these videos. I've had the chance to watch some of these before, and they always have me in awe, especially the first one, the one with Vijay. Um, I don't think we have any questions from the audience. If you guys still want to put in some questions, you can. The panelists can also, if they have a question for each other, feel free to drop in your questions here. But in case nobody has a question, then I have a few. Okay. This one's for Ramprasad and Ms. Pooja, because you mentioned about you have e-content that you've created. In the first video, Vijay mentioned that how you don't need a lot of education or literacy to be able to use a computer. And we did touch upon it in the previous section, but digital literacy the training can often be overwhelming, as we heard in a couple of voices. And I wanted to know from you if you wanted to share any approach that you thought has worked well, where you've been able to deliver digital literacy training to a community that wasn't literal in the mainstream sense, and but you were able to provide that training to them successfully.
Yes, yes. In fact, yes, as I mentioned that we have a digital village catalyst model called the EDOS. So the EDOS is we prefer women to be the EDOS, and then there is not a very high qualification to become a EDOS, as Vijay mentioned in that video. So basically, the attitude that yes, I can use a smartphone, I can operate it well, and I can use the smartphone to deliver services to the community. I think with that attitude, I think it is definitely possible to learn any new thing in the smartphone. So yes, so with the ethos, we have noticed that we do not need a lot of educational qualification or anything like that. And so they are now offering digital financial services. The ethos are offering digital financial services in the community. So remote communities which had to travel to the towns to get to avail the financial services, now they are able to avail it in the village itself. So this is the advantage of and then all women who may not even be graduates, they are offering these services. So this is the definitely the possibility. In fact, in some places digital literacy, I think, is even like, of course it cannot transcend literacy by itself, but I think but it is trying to bridge various things which the conventional education, if they have not like gone through the process of conventional education, I think digital education is definitely trying to bridge various of those gaps for those people who have not received a conventional education, I think. And one last thing I would like to share is, yes, despite this, there is still digital awareness required. Like, for example, I take the case of my own family, wherein I have to teach many things to my parents. So I think the age is an important factor. I think the younger the generation, the more savvy they are with the digital devices. So the younger generation have this probably the responsibility of like taking along with us the older generation, like my own parents. So I think this is happening. I think in each household, the youth are definitely hand holding their parents in case of digital, I think.
That's very true. We have the responsibility of both handholding the older generation as well as documenting the culture that may be lost with that generation also. Just a feedback to the tech team. I received a text message from one of the people who the attendees, that they're not able to drop in their comments. So if you can just look into that. Meanwhile, we have questions here from from some people who are on the video also. Osama's question is for Michael. He wants to know a little more about the community network that you've been able to establish in Myanmar. How many members are using that community network, and what is the kind of content that they are consuming and producing on demand there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's been a long story, and to make it short, before we go to offline service, then we have something around 100 users every time simultaneously. But at the time that our connectivity is backhaul is a maximum 2 Mbps using IP star, so we cannot provide the high quality for that. And during the offline period, since 2007 to 2018, almost 18 and 19, almost 2 years. That duration, so we provide like offline content, especially like Khan Academy, and Khan Academy. We have Burmese translation subtitle, and we collect all those and then put in the server. And so during that time, the school was not closed. So student teachers use those contents for educational purpose, learning purpose. And also we collect videos like video subtitles into Burmese. So something like we have more than 1,000 of movie, pirated movie. So we put that. So those are access for entertainment, and we also have like a small server, like a asterisk now. So we can use for SIP, SIP, VoIP communication within the Wi-Fi network. So people use that Wi-Fi like as a walkie-talkie or like a file sharing or like a voice communication for that. Um, Now, so we reduce from this year, we are planning to reduce the network and to provide more quality service, meaningful service. So we are planning to provide 9 villages, and then the maximum population from each village is something around 200 people. Um, then what we want to provide from 2021 is that the high speed quality, and then people will be able to use that for online learning, because of the pandemics, all the regular learning system, all the school, all the training center are closed. So internet is the only hope for further education for this generation and the next generation. So as the third wave of the COVID-19 is become like increasing infect people, so hopefully the school cannot be open soon. So only that we have option to young generation to go for further study. So we are planning to provide the training service online, e-commerce service online, and also now we are working with money. It is from Yoma Bank and Telenor Telecom. So they yeah. So far we have 6 agents in the our coverage area. So those are run by the women led social enterprise. So with that, people can use that internet community network for money transaction as well, buying, selling things, and then for attending online education, the payment can be done through the mobile banking system. So these are the things what we have done and what we are planning to do in the next year.
Thank you. That's very helpful, especially to understand how community networks or community radios can be useful in a pandemic year to provide relevant, factual, accurate information. Thank you so much for that, Michael. We have a question from an audience member, Achal. Her question is for Maureen. She's asking, what is the type of content that is missing right now, you think, from the internet, and that communities that are yet to join in from the community, like the community networks that help them connect, what is the sort of content that you'd like to see them produce?
So one of the things that was mentioned also in one of the questions, and I think it was from Osama. I think one great thing, and I'm always thinking about how community networks can help to build local economies, because that can help the communities to thrive, right? And I think help the communities to kickstart their business, their local business. I think that is something that we can work more and can help the communities a little bit more. It's hard to do. There are a lot of things that needs to be put together in order to kickstart local business. But I think that's one point that could really impact the future of the networks, of the community networks.
Thank you. We have a question from Ritu. Her question is, does localization or local content help in preserving the local culture and heritage? I know we've heard of some examples, and if one of you can elaborate on it, maybe Ramprasad, if you want to speak in case worldly tribes have been able to, which is also to answer to Osama's add-on question, if they've been able to sell their produce through the community networks.
Both these questions are, I think, regarding the whether actually community networks are helping in promoting the local culture and local products like the Varley paintings. Yes. Like in the last year when we started this work, we have been able to document various of these art forms, whether it is bohada, a mask, as well as the Varley painting. So we have made like we have taken images, we have also had a session wherein even Michael had joined us in Pathardi. We went to the artist, we conducted a painting session. So we are definitely engaging with the artists, but now taking it to the next level. So we have made an e-commerce portal. I'll just put the link of that also in the chat box. But it is primarily regarding the food products as of now, which is the farming monk, which I said, which is regarding the various rice varieties, as well as the mango and cashew products also from the tribal areas. But yes, now we want to expand this to the art forms. Now the documentation has been done. We had also produced a video on bohada, but now I think only when these products are now sold through the e-commerce portal, I think then I think the artists will really start like receiving the benefits of this. But yes, that is the next level. I think we have to reach that stage now. Yes.
Right. Ritu, to your question, the e-commerce link has been shared, so you can help promote that now. I think, Michael, if you want to add anything to this question, because you also spoke about documenting about the agro biodiversity and about the folk culture and that they were documenting the languages that they had in different dialects. So if you want to add anything about localized content for preservation of heritage and culture.
Yes. We also have the community radio calls HESA FM. So from that project, so we are doing like a recording, archiving from the oral story from the old people, elder people about the village and about the Second World War. It was in 1888, and then we have two big battle defense the English British. So those story are orally recorded and archived, and sometimes we broadcast from the HESA FM. And so far, the the community radio, so we don't have kind of license, and we don't have device to broadcast. So we are broadcasting on the Wi-Fi offline Wi-Fi network, and also on the internet using SoundCloud and Facebook. Uh, Not only that the story, but also that the culture, like how the forefather people, foreparents getting married, and what are the steps, and what are the dowry, and something like that. Those are no more practice in some place. So those are very important to keep. And also that the literature, we have a traditional songs, a poem in local dialects. But this generation, myself, I cannot compose the poem and sing a song. So those elder people, we still have some peoples, but they got old, not for sure for to live for long. So before they gone, we want to get and record everything what they know. So, but to make it localization back to the English or others majority language, it is a challenge because the local context and meaningfully it is not possible, or it is very difficult to translate back to the English language meaningfully I would say contextually. Those are the challenges we have. And I want to add the one thing about that the creating a local content, not only creating a local how to say local history or local uh, story, but also it is one way to make content by the young people while they are using internet. Something like my next rooms, some young people are playing online games. So sometimes we encourage them to record the game playing. So later on, and some other people can watch those record as an entertainment or something like that. Uh, why that is important is that like young people in the community, they have a lot of time because school are closed. They don't uh, job are closed. They cannot travel. They cannot do a job. But what they when they have a lot of free time, some young people start consume alcohol, drug, and something like that. So one thing is one important thing is that those young people to to make busy creating a local content. It may be meaningless, but let them do something interesting for them. Like while they are playing football, someone should took a video, or someone should took a photo or something like that. So this is also related to the movement creation in the community network. So when the people more people involved and busy, then and the other hand, less time to consume drug and alcohol and spending spare time. So this is what I would like to highlight is that let them busy creating a local content and put it on the local server. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for that. That was a very well put, insightful answer for us. We have one more question, one last one from Sarah. She's asking, what is that one thing that each of you feel is necessary to keep in mind that is uniform across contexts and countries based on your experience of community networks? I'll leave it to you if one of you would like to answer this question. Do we
I
have?
think
Michael, go ahead.
yeah. I think the same thing we face that could be the problem with licensing.
Fair enough. I think Maureen has had, she shared a good example with us, and I think we should go back to that example from Georgia, I think, to figure out how did they do that so successfully and maybe learn something from that. Before we close this session, I'll just ask all of you to maybe if you can give a very short closing comment or what DF likes to call the tweetable comment. And Michael, I don't want you to feel in the middle, you sandwiched every time. So we'll go with you this time first. One tweetable comment, short closing statement from you.
Okay, let me start. So the community-owned network should be owned by the community, managed by the community, and let's support them and facilitate them to make sustainable and developed in the future. And then let's them make it community network and the internet as a neutral for all of to belong to the all of people.
Thank you. I think that just about fit into 40 characters. Ramprasad, would you like to go next?
Yeah, instead of two, like I will just go for two words basically. So just like how the Indian government says vocal for local, I would probably say digital for local. So so go digital, go local. So that is what I would probably would like to share.
That's a very good hashtag. I think we have an interesting hashtag out of the session now. Maureen, over to you.
Yeah, I think community networks are a complementary model to existing markets, and they should be seen as complementary solutions to telecom and to government efforts. They have proven to be successful from New York to Mancosi, and they all the time help communities to develop themselves, which is good for countries and eventually is good for the world in its totality. So they need to be seen as allies and complements to efforts by regulators and governments.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been a very good session for me. I hope you guys also enjoyed. I'm going to put Rajneesh in the spot now and ask him to close the session for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Rajneesh, are you on the call with us? I think we've lost him. But thank you so. Oh, he's here. Sorry.
I was here, but I was doing something else. Thanks everyone for your comments today. Much appreciated, Udita. Thanks for the great moderation. Obviously, we've covered a whole lot of ground and a lot of dimensions that we perhaps, and perspectives that we don't perhaps look into in a lot of these conversations. A lot of the conversations around community networks, I think, focused quite a bit on actual infrastructure itself, the connectivity part, but not what people actually do with it. And sometimes, particularly when we're talking to policymakers and so on, you have to try and demonstrate why is it that these community networks are so important. Because it's not just about connectivity, it's what you do with it. And obviously that has the context of content, but as well as the community itself. So I think it's been a great discussion. Obviously all these will be archived and we'll be using them for future work as well. So again, thanks very much for all your contributions, and I hope you stay engaged in this field of work, and we all continue to collaborate into the future. Thank you very much. Thanks, Udita.
Thank you so much.